Okay. Thanks for agreeing to talk with me, Megan. You told me that you already know a little bit about CBT, right?
I do. I do know a little bit about CBT.
Good. So I'm just gonna kind of just highlight one thing that CBT assumes that distressing emotions come from irrational thoughts.
Okay.
And so, are you comfortable working from that lens, like just us talking together?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and then you have the consent form that I gave you.
Yes, yeah.
Does that all make sense to you?
It does, it does. I read it all over and checked them all and signed it.
Okay, perfect. All right, then before we begin, something that I kind of like to do, just like check your mood before we start, just to know, so I'll know how you're feeling now, and then I'll check it later at the end, so I'll have an idea of how the session went. Okay. So could you describe your mood for me?
I would say a little overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed?
Yeah, and maybe a little anxious.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's normal. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But on a scale of 0 to 5, with 5 being really anxious or really overwhelmed, how would you rate yourself?
I'd say probably a 4.7.
4.7?
Maybe not quite that high. Maybe a 4.3.
Okay. All right. I'm going to note that so then we can compare afterwards.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess just tell me a little bit about your week.
This week has been a little busy. Had a lot of highs and lows. I got to do legislative advocacy day with my agency for my practicum, Intense Eye. That was really cool.
Yeah.
But then today I just was pulled in a lot of different directions and felt really overwhelmed because I felt like I couldn't get anything done, and that I still have so much to do. So.
Yeah, that sounds pretty stressful.
Indeed.
So could you describe one specific incident from today that was particularly stressful for you?
Yes, I was actually working with a client, and she, in my personal values as Megan Corbin human, I feel like she's maybe not in the best place, but she reports that she's fine, everything's going well, and that she has nothing that she wants to work on. She just wants to go to work and do the bare minimum of what she has to do in the program. So professional social worker Megan sees that as, wow, you've done a lot of, you've actually overcome some barriers, getting childcare and transportation. And so maybe this is the most stable that your life has been, and this is where you're at and where you want to be at, even though I see all these other things to do. But then she wasn't cooperating with me to try and move forward with new goals and things that we could set. So that was a little frustrating and overwhelming.
So you kind of saw an incongruence between what she said her goals were and what she's actually been doing.
Exactly.
In your opinion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna, if you're comfortable, we're gonna go through this thought record and kind of write down what was happening in the situation, what you're thinking, and how you're feeling.
Okay.
Just to sort of, CBT is a way to think about the way you're thinking, and so this will kind of help you to identify any, irrational thoughts or anything. So yeah, let's just get right into it.
Absolutely.
So I'll have you actually write for yourself.
Okay.
So first, in the first column, it talks about describe the situation. So you can write down just what you told me, the incident with the client.
Do you want me to tell you what I wrote?
Sure.
Okay. So client's goals are incongruent with where I think she should or could be if she moved forward.
Okay. And then just kind of describe to me, and then you can also write this down, what you were thinking in that time. I know you talked about it a little bit already, how you kind of had a different belief of how she was doing or what she was doing, but could you just kind of go into a little more depth on that?
Yeah. So I felt that this girl had some potential and she could really move forward and she's not trying. Those were the automatic thoughts, like, why aren't you trying? Or, you realize that I'm this busy and I'm doing these things, why aren't you? Those are kind of the biggest two thoughts.
Okay, so you can write those thoughts down. Excuse me.
Misspelled aren't.
Okay, so you've described how what your thoughts towards your client were in that situation, and so I'm also kind of wondering what your thoughts about yourself were in that situation.
I would say that whenever I think about how busy I am this semester, that actually is a pretty common one that I've dealt with since starting. So I would say that some of the things that I've thought about myself are like, why would you do this to yourself? You are a lunatic for for being as busy as you are and trying to still take on more tasks. And why are you so busy? Why is it so important that you are busy?
So you're almost questioning your decision to take on everything that you've taken on.
Exactly.
It's almost how that's affecting your interactions with clients.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what
as
you're talking about?
As personal Megan Corbin, those thoughts do come up.
Okay, so it seems like well, actually, you can write that down.
Okay.
Maybe, why am I taking on so much? And then just to get a little bit deeper, I mean, this is kind of what we do with automatic thoughts. We're kind of relating them back to, because automatic thoughts are beliefs about yourself, the world, the future. So I'm wondering if there is like anything else that you were thinking about yourself, maybe on like a deeper level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does indeed make sense. I would say that if you're busier and doing more things, it can increase your value, even though that's a negative automatic belief to have. But one of those perfectionistic beliefs that I do hold.
Could you say that again?
Yeah. So if you do more things and you're more productive and you contribute back more to society,
okay,
like you as a person are maybe worth a little bit more.
So for you, productivity equals more. You value productivity and doing all these things and taking on all these responsibilities.
Yeah.
Makes you maybe a better social worker. Or
or just a better
person.
Human. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe I need to be productive.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. And if I say anything that you're putting words in my mouth, then feel free to disagree. But okay. And so in this situation, aside from just your thoughts, actually, before we go into this, it also says how intense were your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to just do a scale from 0 to 5 to kind of make it easier, with 5 being really intense, or 5 being you really believed these thoughts about yourself.
Okay.
How would you rate that?
The I need to be productive would probably be maybe around a 5.7.
Okay. I'll just have you write that down then too.
Okay.
Okay. And then during the situation when you were feeling like you needed to be productive and you needed to really be helping this client and pushing her to reach her goals and be as productive as maybe you are, what emotions were you experiencing?
Frustration because she wasn't, and anxiety because I was thinking about the other 7 things that I need to have done before 5. And then almost defeatist because I knew there's no way I could be as productive as I need to be. I don't know if defeatist is an emotion or a noun.
I think it could really be either. But could you go into, like, tell me a little bit more about that?
It doesn't actually, that doesn't happen very often. But occasionally you get so many things on your plate that you want to go take a nap and not deal with any of them.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely happening around 5:15 whenever I was still at the office.
Okay, so that overwhelming.
Yeah, just like, screw it, why even
sense.
Try, blah, blah, blah.
So you've taken on so many responsibilities, you'd rather just forget them all than have to deal with the overwhelming load. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. And then I'll also have you rate those emotions. How intense were those from 0 to 5?
I would say overwhelmed as 4.3 and frustration as 4.25.
Very specific. Okay. So going back to your automatic thought that maybe I'm gonna rephrase it and tell me if this makes sense to you or if you feel this is true. But I'm not valuable unless I'm productive.
Dang. Good one.
Okay, so that fits.
That does fit, yeah.
Okay. So, what evidence do you have to support that automatic thought that if I'm not productive, I'm not valuable?
All humans are good and worthwhile beings no matter where they are. So maybe there's not much evidence because you don't have to produce to society to actually make a difference or to actually have value and need to be around. So there's not evidence, which is why it's an automatic thought.
You know your CBT.
I do, just a little bit.
Yeah. So, well, you kind of already gave me evidence to support why that would, or evidence against that or automatic thought.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to give you this cognitive distortions list. You told me you already know a little bit about it, but just take a look over it and I guess circle just any of these that apply.
There's going to be several here.
That's okay. You know, I believe that everybody experiences this kind of thinking, and it's just identifying it that really helps us relieve those distressing emotions.
Well, let's go with those 4.
Okay. So, all or nothing thinking, overgeneralization, disqualifying the positive, and emotional reasoning. So out of these 4, do any of these in particular, do you think any of them in this situation, the all or nothing thinking?
All or nothing, I would say, yeah.
So you were thinking about the client, if she doesn't accomplish all these goals,
then what have we even done?
And you were thinking about yourself, if I can't complete all this work and get it all done, then I might as well quit. Nothing was worthwhile. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Perfect summarization of all or nothing thinking in this situation.
Okay, so then we're going to go back to our thought record. And we're going to come up with an alternative thought that you could think in situations when you start to feel these distressing emotions and this automatic thought starts coming about that if I'm not productive, then I'm not valuable. So can you think of a thought that might replace that would be more positive?
Probably something along the lines of, you don't have to produce to be worthwhile.
Okay, can you write that down?
Yeah.
Okay, and then, do you have any other alternatives? I think that is good enough if you...
I don't know. I think that's a good, strong automatic. Yeah.
I agree. That works. Okay, so then if you were to be in a situation where you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed and you started to get that all or nothing thinking where if I can't accomplish all of this, then I have accomplished nothing. You could use this thought. And how do you think that might change your emotions if you were to use that thought instead of the other automatic thought?
I think it'll allow me to let myself be more human and maybe to be a little bit more accurate in my reflections of the work that I'm doing and the contributions that I'm making to the world in general. And then not even as like giving back to the world, but also just like as a person, I'm human and just me being alive is like me doing something for the world.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So using that reflection and that the new thought, if you were to use that and just in the situation that would arise, what specific emotions do you think that you might experience instead of the frustration and feeling of overwhelmed and the defeatist?
I would probably be a little calmer. And then probably a little less anxious, hopefully.
Hopefully.
And then maybe just a little bit more like appreciative of like the fact that I can get up and I have all these strengths and privileges that can allow me to do what I'm already doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Could you write those down in this box? And you kind of already mentioned this, but behaviors. You mentioned how you would be more appreciative and how you'd be able to have more accurate self-reflection and just be almost, from your description, more productive in that way that you don't just shut down.
Absolutely.
So you can write that down for behaviors as well.
Okay, and then more productive with less defeatist feelings.
Great. Okay. So now comes the tricky part.
No. Okay.
So if you were to be in this situation and you were to think this new thought that I'm worthy or I'm capable, even though I may have not gotten everything done that I was supposed to do, or you don't have to be productive to be worthwhile, how believable would this new thought be for you?
It would be pretty believable, I think.
Pretty believable?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do the 0 to 5 rating again. So if you had to rate on that scale, what would you rate that thought?
I'd say a 3.87.
Very specific.
Yeah.
Okay, just write that down then too.
Here we go.
Yeah.
8.7. But probably with a little bit of practice, that would improve.
Yeah, and that's sort of the thing with CBT. I mean, you just have to sort of stop that automatic thought, and then when you are more self-aware, like when you can come back to this just any time in your life. I mean, you don't have to see me every time you have
right
a problem at work to do a thought record with you, but you can use this skill anytime and practice. Just keep practicing and like flexing those muscles of your mind. And,
I like that.
Yeah. And just inserting your new automatic thought, or your new thought until it becomes automatic, really.
Cool. And that's more adaptive.
Yes.
Yeah.
More adaptive.
Yeah. Look at
okay. That. So, do you have any questions about this? Are you comfortable with kind of what we talked about?
Yes. Yeah. And, granted that I did have a little bit of experience with CBT prior to our talking, this definitely makes you think a little bit more because it's easy to ignore that skill unless you, especially whenever you most might benefit from it.
Yeah.
So that's good that I did this activity because I think this will be really useful moving forward, especially in this semester where I feel the need to produce a lot. So.
Well, great. I'm glad you found it beneficial, and I hope that you can use it in the future if you feel the need to.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of wraps up what we were talking about. I'm going to go ahead and then check your mood again. Just how are you feeling now?
So 0 was no anxiety / overwhelmed.
Right. You mentioned you said you were anxious and overwhelmed, and you gave me a 4.3 in the beginning.
Oh, I'd say I'm down to like a 2.18.
2.18.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you're feeling less anxious and that this has been helpful to you. Can you just tell me overall how this experience has been working with me? And
I think that I'm very excited to see the work that you're going to do out in the field. This seems to be a strength for you. And even though we are friends and you normally wouldn't do therapy with a friend, this is something that you can definitely use with coworkers and people all throughout your life without doing therapy, but just like helping raise their awareness. And I think that's a good skill to have. And I'm glad that I got a refresher on that self-awareness so that maybe I can start viewing the things that I'm doing a little bit more accurately. So overall, positive experience.
Well, great. Yeah. And thanks again for talking with me.
Absolutely.
And working through this.
Yeah, great.
Alrighty. Well, I think we're done then.
Okay.